Have you tried the thermal stitch? It's a sort of a very thick and quite stiff, sturdy stitch that creates a very thick fabric, like this here. Here I have used it for a hot pad, and for that it's ideal because you don't have to do it double. It's very thick on its own. And because it's so stiff, it works well also with baskets. Not very big ones, but for instance this here size as one side of a basket still works okay, and small ones of course are perfect. I'm also crocheting a sample using chunky yarn, and that way it of course gets even heavier. So it's a stitch that you would use for anything that needs to have or can have stiff fabric. It's limited on clothes, but it can work, for instance, if you want a cardigan that's sort of boxy, anything of that sort. But it's great for cushions or seat covers, hot pads, as I was saying, baskets, coasters and that sort of things. So let's see first how the stitch goes, and then I'll show how I made this here basket. For the sample I'm using this worsted weight yarn and a crochet hook size 4mm or G. But like always, make sure your hook and yarn go together. First we need a chain, so make a slip knot and chain whatever number you want for the width of the piece. I'll just make a very small one, say here. That's enough to see what we are doing. And for the first row we'll single crochet in the top loop here, since it has a loop there and a loop there and a back bump. We'll take the top one only, and you start like normal from the second stitch from the hook. So you don't count the one on the hook. We don't go into the very first one, but the next one. So single crochets into every stitch till the end. So go like this till the end here, and then chain one and turn like this here. We need to see it from this here side. And now we will always use the back loop. They are in a row here, and the stitch that is the other half of the chain. Go into the first actual stitch there, back loop of that, and into the first chain, the other half of the chain, and make a single crochet. And then skip to the next one, again the back loop, and find the other side of the starting chain, and a single crochet. And like this, right along the whole row. There. Here. And here, and so on. And like that until the end. Here we are. And then we continue, chain one, and again turn it just a little bit like this here, and we'll do the same, only now we are taking this here row of stitches that was left from the previous row. So not the chain, but the first stitch there, and that loop there, and a single crochet. And now you need to be careful that you don't use the same stitch twice, because it has sort of stretched. Otherwise you would end up increasing stitches. So that stitch has already been used, and now we go to the next one. At first it may feel hard, but after the first and second rows it gets very easy. And continue. At first it just feels like a big lump, really, but it's going to be better. So continue, and then we look especially at the last stitch. Here I'm almost at the end, and there's one more left. It can be a bit harder to see, although less so on this row yet. We will be especially looking at the end of the next row. So from now on, really from the third row on, it's easier because the stitches sort of present themselves right in front of you, and then it just repeats the same all the time. So chain one, always chain one, and turn and crochet these together. And again here, make sure you don't take that one twice since it stretches a bit. Like that there. And now you can sort of hold it in such a way that the stitches are close together. So you very easily see where you go. Always the back stitch and the one that's been left at the back. So continue, and again we'll look at the last one. Here one missing, and it can be a bit hard to get them, especially if your yarn is fairly fine. This here thickish one is easier. It can be a good idea to count your stitches in the beginning, in the first few rows, to make sure that you neither increase nor decrease. So that's all there is to it. You just keep going. Always chain one and start crocheting together. So it always ends up double. It's really quite thick when you look at it like that. And of course these are together, so it's not going to be like hollow in the middle. I'll continue a few more rows here, and then we look at how we do the last row before finishing it off. Here we are. I made a small piece like this here, and then I'm finishing it off. There's not a big difference, but it's just that you have to close this so it doesn't look like that there. Instead of taking just the back loop, you take both through there and then go across again to the loop there, and both loops and the other stitch, and just single crochet like normal. So like this here, and that closes it up so that it's a sort of a tidy finish there. And like this till the end, and then you just finish the yarn off. Especially if you change yarns in the middle of a row, you can see how it is double, because it's been changed on this here side, and when you turn it over, it doesn't show at all. So this is something you can use if you are changing colors. And then let's see how I put the basket together. So I have 5 pieces that are square and the same size, and this is going to be the bottom of it, and I'm actually going to crochet them together using this here where we finished, because it's easier to get into the stitches. These here sides are a bit harder. So I'll have it like that there. Where is it now? Here. So this way, so that that will go inside, and that and that. And I decided to use tiny scraps. What I had, I think this is just enough to close in one side. So I'm going to actually use a different color for each. You can of course use the same color for everything. It's easiest to first go around the base and then these here sides. I'm going to use this here yarn for crocheting them together, and it's better to start. I'll put these two together first. So this is the base. So it's better that you start from this side so that the stitches will be showing nicer when, you know, when the basket is standing like that there, like from the right hand side. So insert the hook in the first corner, take the yarn. I'll move those a bit further so it doesn't change the sharpness of the video. And I always take 2 yarns at the same time to start with, and then you can leave that inside the stitches too, and then just take 1 stitch, whole stitch from this one and another one from the back, and single crochet again there, and the next one, and so on, just right along there. Where did the other yarn go? So like that there until the end. It looks like there's might be 1 stitch more in the other one, but anyway, if so, I'll skip one. So like that, and then at the corner we change to another one. Here there was actually the same number of stitches, it's just that this here yarn is thicker. And then I'll take this here one, there, well note, let's see, like that it goes, yeah. And first into the same stitch in the corner, so through this one and find the same corner stitch. And this one is a slightly more difficult now because there are no actual stitches on here, you just have to pick one that is in front of you, so I'll take that stitch and then see where I can get through there. And there it's a bit hard because the fabric of this side is so thick. So like that there, all the 4 of them. That's them all now. And so that it doesn't show too much where I started, I'll pull that straight through, take a needle, and go into the, from here into the first actual stitch, like that there, and back into that stitch. So if you see what I mean now, it looks like it's continuous, that there's no gap there of finishing it. And then finishing off the yarn into the stitches. Go into the there. Cutting this here yarn as well, that's in the stitches. It's not in a place where it would get a lot of wear, so I'm just cutting it off. And then we need to finish these here sides. I'll take the blue and into that corner. I'm not actually putting this here yarn into the stitches now because it's harder here to see, so and harder to get through there and there, and then just single crochets across here. It's definitely harder to find where you put your stitches, but you'll find them. Like that there to the end, and then finish it off there. Here I am. I put 2 stitches in the last one so that it's a bit sturdier, and also pulling it through with a chain there. And then just the same for the rest of them. And here we are. Isn't it cute? Like that there. And you could of course make one with just 1 color or 2 colors or whatever. And various sizes, much bigger too. I hope you'll try this stitch and let me know what kind of uses you could think of for it. I'm sure there are many that I haven't thought of at all, but that you do. And check out also this here playlist that has lots of different stitch tutorials. You could find ones to use in so many different projects. Until next time.